Welcome to The Real Study with your hosts, MrSniDBitS,
I was pleasantly surprised.
BlackGirlMarvel,
I cried laughing. That was hilarious.
TylertheFilmmaker.
It's like so much depth. It's like nowadays it's, you got A shot, B shot.
All the movie things.
There's some great wide shots in this.
JeannineDaBean.
Each other. They just kind of look like they were having fun and doing their own thing.
Produced by Hyena. And me, the Real Study movie voice guy.
But this was the first time where I got to see it told in a way where I was like, oh man.
Let's go to the poster wall.
Good evening and welcome to The Real Study. My name is MrSniDBitS, and as always with me is BlackGirlMarvel, All the Movie Things, and JeannineDaBean. How are you guys all doing this evening?
Doing good.
Schlocky.
Schlocky, I love it. Feeling cheap. Gotta love it. All right. We are going to be doing some very kind of low budget, yet, beloved 80's horror films this evening. We've got Night of the Creeps from 1986 and Society from 1989. These are interesting films, and we'll get into them in a minute. Before we do that, of course, BlackGirlMarvel is going to tell us about some social media.
Hello, folks. As always, can I be heard? I'm not sure. Anywho,
you are, yeah.
Okay. You never know with me. So, as always, good people that's listening, that will be listening, because we know you guys always come back around, even if you're not live right now. You always come back around. We appreciate you. Make sure that you follow us on all social media. Make sure you make a little comment. It helps the algorithm. It pushes us up. Have us playing in the background while you're watching something else. That helps too. You don't have to just watch us. You can watch something else and just have us playing. It helps, So make sure if you're listening to us on a podcast or anything like that. So if you're on Apple or Spotify, Google, or any of the other podcast streaming channels out here, make sure you give The Real Study a good follow, 5 stars, drop a comment. If you're watching us on Twitch or YouTube, make sure you sub to us. We would love to have you continue to be here and get notified that we're here. And if you want to join us in discussions or maybe put in your own movie or documentary or something you want us to partake in and watch, come join our Discord and you can talk to us on there. We do have veto power. Like I always say, we don't use it. Okay. But we do take your suggestions to heart. We do. We truly do. Just follow us on everywhere. We appreciate you.
To heart.
Thank you.
To heart.
Yes.
I love it.
To heart.
Thank you, I appreciate it. That said, of course, there are always some movies, because we're all movie nuts and we can't stop watching them. We always kind of have something we've watched during the week, and
I'm more of a movie lagoon. I'm more of a movie lagoon.
A lagoon? That's fair.
Yeah.
So
same.
I'm going to be biased this week because I really want to hear from Brian, because this documentary that he watched has been one I've been excited for and wanted to see. So you got to see Superman, the Christopher Reeve story. Can you tell us what you thought about that?
Did you cry?
I think the real question is at what moments did I not cry?
Okay.
That's
okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It was, and another great thing is I had the whole theater to myself. I was smacked in the middle, no one there, so I could just really let it
all out.
Let it out. I love that for you.
Yes,
yeah,
love that.
It was nice. Yeah, really great. Of course, it was kind of a no-brainer. I was gonna walk in and just love this movie. His Superman, of course, is what I grew up with. It's, it's incredible. But also I've followed his story, even before this doc really came out. I mean, I still have a newspaper from when his passing was announced. Yeah, so I still have that. And was even donating to at the time it was the Christopher Reeve Foundation with those and they would give you a little dog tag that had the Superman logo and it said "Go Forward" on it, and yeah, it was it's actually a relatively quick documentary, and they do a good job of they don't really span his whole life. They focus on going back and forth from the accident, his horse riding accident, and his whole process through that, and some of the time with the foundation, but they go back and forth between like his movie stuff, his career, his early days, and then to like what he was going through, and what his family was going through, more importantly. And what's amazing is like there's he has like a lot of friends that I didn't know he was friends with, you know, like Glenn Close is in the movie.
Wow, okay.
And like most people know that Robin Williams was like really big friends with him, but I didn't know that they were like roommates at Juilliard. Like, yeah, they're
oh, so they were like close.
Yeah, they were very close. Yeah. They kind of like were the yin and yang to each other. You know?
Well,
and some people
Chris was really reserved, right? And
yeah, exactly.
just,
yeah, and like
So,
a lot of
makes
people
sense.
said that Christopher Reeve was the only one who could really like handle Robin's like chaos and his, you know, bounce off of him. Yeah. So it was really, and Glenn Close had this line where she really believes that if Christopher Reeve would have hung on a little longer, like we would still have Robin Williams. And that like, that line just
broke you. I'm sure.
The projector, please.
I need a minute.
Man, give me a second to get better from this. Okay.
Oh my god.
Jeez.
Yeah. But there's like the whole time I'm just pretty much crying the whole time. And but the thing too is like his kids, when his kids would tell their stories, and then like there's these moments of, I mean, of course when he passed, and then about a year and a half later his wife Dana passed, you know, from cancer. And it's not just as much about it's about as much as about her and their like connection and their bond and how important she was, how Dana Reeves was, as it is about Christopher Reeve too, because she was vital in his like, I mean, there's a point where he just was like, should we just end this? Should I just you know, early on after the accident, and she really gave him like that will to continue.
So in a way, without her, he wouldn't have been here as long as he was here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the foundation itself too, because she tried to carry the foundation on.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what the kids are doing now. So it does leave you with some hope too, because there's a lot of people that have some like spinal injury and like other injuries similar that are like walking now because of what their foundation has done, you know, and like it's wonderful. It's incredible. Yeah, it's really great. And you get to see some like really interesting stuff from his career, you know, and like how he like struggled with Superman. Like he didn't want to, like he wasn't really in it with Superman 3 and like 4 even, you know. It's like, and he wasn't this Boy Scout, you know what I mean? There's some stuff in there where you're just like
an image to live up to.
Yeah. So it was really interesting to see that. So check it out if you can. It's in theaters now. Also, like it came out October 11th is the official release. October 11th is the anniversary of Christopher Reeve's passing. So yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
So heavy.
I'm going to check this out. Hopefully I can find it around here somewhere.
Yeah. It wasn't very limited release like in September, and then because of like it got such a great response, they were like,
let's open it up. Let's put it up there.
So
I assume it's a WB release on some.
Yes, it's actually the first. It's actually the first film to officially have the new DC Studios animation.
Interesting. Okay. That's kind of an honor to him as well.
Yeah. That's great.
Oh yeah, I look forward to it. Big time.
Yeah, I feel bad about what happened to Christopher Reeves, but also like without that happening to him, there wouldn't be the foundation, and there wouldn't be people being
so many people inspired, and
you know what I'm saying, and inspired from it. So I just you know, it sucks that things like this have to happen, but sometimes they happen for a greater reason.
Totally.
Than we even know. And so I'm happy his foundation. I'm happy that he's still Superman. Like even in his passing, like his foundation is still like having the legacy of him being Superman. So I think that's pretty dope. His kids being along with it too. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Gotta love it. All right. Janine, you talked about a bunch of horror movies this month on your TikTok, and the one you just watched was Fright Night, but the remake.
Yes,
what you think?
The 2011 remake. So I had already watched Fright Night on my spooky season watch list. Somebody recommended part 2, which I hadn't seen, so I watched that for the first time, which I really enjoyed. And so then someone also like suggested I give the remake another chance, because I had watched it a long time ago, didn't really remember much about it. and Colin Farrell in a tank top. So why not?
You know,
So-
that's just good movie. That's just good movie making. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah. So I decided to check it out, and yeah, I mean, it definitely tries to do all of the upgraded things that a remake does. So, you know, Jerry Dandridge, our vampire, is not really suave and debonair. He's like cool and gritty and dark.
That's such a great way to put his character.
Yes.
Yeah.
Our Peter Vincent isn't a struggling TV actor. He's like this cool Las Vegas magician vampire hunter with this whole like Chris Angel persona. So just different things they try to do to modernize it. I liked the opening. They do a really kind of fun horror opening of just like a family getting attacked. So it's almost like a cold open. So I like kind of the terror in that. But ultimately, I feel like it just adds too much to kind of pad the runtime, too many extra added plot points. And they even kind of take away a lot of Charlie being the one who's really the first one to be suspicious of the neighbor and really looking into it. They give a lot of that to his best friend character, Ed Evil, who's played by, I can't remember his actual name,
Christopher
but
Mintz-Plasse.
McLovin. Yeah, McLovin.
McLovin. Forever McLovin.
No, for sure. And I'm sure he's happy with that.
Right? So he's the
terrible
one. Yeah, so he's the one who's really suspicious at first and kind of tries to tell Charlie, but Charlie won't listen to him. There's also like a subplot of Charlie like starting to hang out with cooler kids and ignoring him. So it's like all these like extra things that didn't really need to be in the film, and it also takes away from Charlie kind of being the main one really being suspicious, which I didn't care for.
Yeah, because that is like the main plot of
Yes. Yes. So they take a lot of that away from. So it's not until a decent amount into the film that Charlie's really kind of looking into him, but his friend kind of did all the groundwork. Also, like Dave Franco's in it, and I think Dave Franco is actually better suited to play evil, like in comparison to the actor who played him in the original. So, like, why not have him be there? But him and another guy are just kind of extra characters, I guess, to add to the kill count of the movie. They also add like this lore of like he's trying to build a vampire coven, this kind of thing. And they give you concrete proof that it's him, that he's a vampire really early on as well. Yeah. So it kills kind of the tension, the momentum of.
How does that compare to the first one? Did they really like
they build it out?
Like,
they stretched it out. There were a lot of things that were suspicious. Charlie would tell somebody, and then like there would be an explanation to easily explain it away, and he would just look crazy. So it wasn't until a decent portion into the film where you get full-on confirmation from somebody who's not Charlie that he's a vampire. But this film, it tells you pretty immediately that he is in fact a vampire. So that's kind of a bummer, but generally I like that it felt a little scarier. I like the idea of them setting it in Vegas, because it would be a place where someone would work all day and sleep at, or work all night, sleep in the day, and you know, work at night. So it would be the perfect place for a vampire to live.
Right.
Yeah.
So I like the idea of that. I feel like David Tennant, also his casting was really well. I think he was a good contemporary to Roddy McDowall. So
totally.
He was great, but I feel like they underutilized him too.
As always.
So he definitely could have been used a lot more. They also have him like getting drunk off of Midori, which I feel like they just thought, oh, this is a cool looking bottle. It's like a cool color of a drink. So he's just pouring himself shot after shot of like sweet.
It's like they couldn't make like another label or something. Like,
Yes, but
I'm surprised he didn't throw up.
Right? Like he's trying to be like edgy and drinking, and they're giving him like this drinking complex with Midori. Like, okay. And we do get a fun little Chris Sarandon cameo as well. So generally I like that they tried to make it scarier, but it kind of just adds too much, you know, bogging down the plot, and just not as simple and clean as the other one. So
all right. Sarandon, I swear, is one of those actors that he's in so many things, and yet he's so different in all of those things. He's very interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Right. La, you watched Beetlejuice this week. What did you think?
I know I say this about movies all the time.
I'm like, what? What are you gonna say?
I know I say this about movies all the time, and if you really think about it,
you don't even need to continue. We kind of already know.
Yeah, we can tell.
You know?
Like, okay, moving on.
Okay, moving on. I know I say this about movies all the time, but you can say this about any movie. But because there is already a first one, I truly feel like this one didn't need to be made. But you can say
Right.
that about any movie. No film needs to be made. It's a want
of
and stuff
course.
like that. Like, so I'm not like knocking anybody or nothing like that. But
Yeah.
I like the first one. I felt like
Mhm.
if you're not going to progress the characters in some way, there's no point of doing a second one. Now, Beetlejuice himself don't need to be progressed. Michael Keaton was perfection. Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing to progress.
pretty good.
There's nothing to progress. For me, you're going to hear a microwave, possibly. My mom's warming up something. Just throwing that out there.
It's the microwave version of the show.
I was a little disappointed. Microwave is a paid actor. That's all I'm gonna say.
We could all just hum. Like,
You know, for sure.
yeah.
Actually, it's a good tone. I'm not mad at you guys.
Yeah, harmonizing.
I'm really disappointed in what they did with Lydia's character.
Mhm.
It's like she regressed, and I'm not saying that like adults, as you get older, you don't kind of regress. Like, I'm not saying you're the same person you were when you were like 15 or whatever by the time you are in your like 40s or whatever, but you still don't lose a bit of that. Like, you still have like some of that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not 100% who I was when I was a kid, but I still have some of that, and I felt like her character didn't have any of like the just the bite that she used to have when she was younger, like the grit to her and things like that. I do like that they kind of spin her character to be more in tune with the other side based on her being able to see ghosts in the first one, you know.
Her becoming this pushover just felt.
But her
kinda
becoming
weird.
this, like, exactly, her becoming like this pushover was just like, it was
Yeah,
hard
what's his
to
name?
watch.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you letting this dude take advantage of you? Like, you've been through a situation before where Beetlejuice was trying to take advantage of you. Like this, like you, like, I don't know. Her character just kind of fell flat to me. And I love Winona Ryder. Like, I love her. I think she's a phenomenal actress. And just like David Tennant, I felt like she was underutilized to push Jenna Ortega to, like, this was obviously Jenna Ortega's movie. Like, this was her film. Not knocking that it's her film.
In there.
Yeah, I'm not knocking that it's her film, but also it shouldn't be her film. It should honestly be Winona Ryder's film, with her kind of like being like an extra piece to it, and that's just how I see it. Catherine O'Hara is always great to me, but she was very Mora from Schitt's Creek, even though that
was,
you know, like,
a little bit.
And I'm not mad at it. I mean, I am a little bit, but not like 100%, because like she's the funniest character in the movie.
And it still felt like
her
character for me as well.
You know,
like
and it's
a little,
I mean, because if you think about it, in the first Beetlejuice, like that was Mora in the beginning. You know what I mean? Like, she was kind of like already a Mora like character. But in this one, with like how quippy she is, how like it was very Schitt's Creek. It was very Schitt's Creek for me. But I do like that, like, her and Lydia have moments like to kind of like connect. I like that eventually, you know, like Jenna Ortega's character, you know, kind of understands and kind of feels, once she kind of goes through something similar that her mother went through, like, she starts to understand. There was a familial aspect to it that was a little bit heavier in this one than it was in the first one. I enjoyed that about it. Like I said, Michael Keaton is just amazing. I just feel like if you're going to make a part 2, and it's been such a big gap, I kind of expected just a little bit more. And personally, the writing felt rudimentary to me. And I'm like, come on, Tim Burton, you had like years to figure out what you wanted to
25 years,
justify your existence.
You know what I'm saying? Justify the reason why you wanted to make Beetlejuice. You know what I mean? So like, that was like my biggest thing about it. I was like, because think about it, like, The Incredibles took 14 years, and the second one is just as good, if not a touch better than the first one, in my opinion. So if you're going to do something years later, you got to come like swinging for the fences.
You have to do Top Gun Maverick level, or don't do it at all.
Exactly.
Never seen it, so I can't really agree to that.
Oh no, like, that's the legacy sequel in my mind. Like, if you can't do that with a sequel, he left for you this time, not for me.
Or me.
Right? Oh yeah, you need. So I guess we'll need to do like an all aviation weekend or something.
I mean, I haven't seen Top Gun, period. I haven't seen the 1986.
I
haven't seen
do it.
Maverick.
Oh my gosh, me and Brian
November feels like the right month for Top Gun. I don't know why.
It might be.
We have both of them.
It might be. Just saying.
I'm ready to revisit Maverick. So, and I got a 4K TV now, so now I'm really
fancy. I need one of those. I got so many 4K movies, and I'm like, one day I'll watch you guys on a
4K on a page.
I put on Secret Life of Pets as soon as we bought it and was like, I was just like
funny.
on the floor. That movie is so beautiful.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it,
yeah.
I
it's
love Secret
gorgeous.
Life of Pets. It's such a
Yeah.
like a. I feel like it's a sleeper hit of an animated like.
It's crazy how you can like. I think like the average movie watcher can't really tell the difference between like a Blu-ray and 4K, but like I think
Ooh.
us movie watchers are like,
Yeah, there's a
because
big
when I watch a
difference.
Blu-ray and then I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
The
No,
first
for
time I
sure.
got
It's
to
like
see
disgusting.
780,
Ratatouille
ew.
It's
Like,
about
in
peasants.
HD, because Ratatouille came out in the SD era, right? And then
Yeah.
when HD came out, I was like, wait, she has purple hair and the
Yeah.
fettuccine guy has like chin hair. I'm like, well, he
I
didn't
know.
have chin hair
I
before.
didn't even
Like,
notice that.
how did that
Yeah.
happen? Or, like the scales on Nemo were not there
Yeah.
in the SD
Yeah.
era. Like,
No,
Yeah,
for
it's
sure.
wild.
It's.
wow.
I mean, yeah, things get better. I can't wait
Yeah.
to get a 4K TV because man, the movies that I have, I'm just like I'm
Just
waiting and
one-
ready.
One little suggestion as a person
Okay.
who deals with resolutions and frame rates for a living,
hmm
make sure you get a 4K TV that can come down to the low frame rate you want for film. Otherwise, it's
Gotcha.
going to look
The refresh
soap
rate.
opera.
It's gonna look
You
terrible.
need a
Yeah.
low
Yeah.
refresh rate.
You want to change
Gotcha.
the refresh rate,
yeah.
yeah.
Because if
that's-
TVs, a lot of TVs are kicking out at 60 now, and that's
yeah,
that's fine if you're gaming or if you're doing
Yep.
other things, but it's
Mhm.
not. It sucks,
Not good
especially if
for
you're watching
film.
like
Yeah.
especially a movie.
CG-esque.
Exactly, if a
movies.
movie with like a lot of visual effects, it's gonna like
Mhm.
ruin it.
You'll
Yeah.
just be like,
Gotcha.
whoa, why
So
does it look like
weird.
a soap opera just hit me in the face?
Yeah.
And that's because soap opera is
Gotcha.
filmed at a different frame rate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's why.
Yeah.
Anyway, just a little
There's a
tidbit,
fun-
snidbit. if
Going
you
back to Beetlejuice, fun fact: the writers of Beetlejuice were the creators of Smallville. Also,
will. Oh wow!
Yeah.
Okay. All connected.
Did it have
Al-
Smallville
Al Goff.
tones?
That
Like,
It-
that
it
kind of
did
makes
not,
sense.
but
Okay.
That kind of
I mean,
that kind of makes
they're-
sense because I'm just saying
they're
in
used to
the
like
sense of
teenage
the writing.
stuff.
Yeah, in the
because
Yeah.
in that
it's very
in that in
CW,
particular
melodrama.
like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
teenage writing. It's
Uh-huh.
now that you say that it's giving
Well-
Lana Clark.
Right.
Isn't
No,
Beetlejuice
it's-
a Warner Brothers property?
It is. Yep.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
CW, I don't know. Like that just feels.
Yeah.
That feels
Oh yeah, yeah.
CW,
Because they
CW,
had a
WB,
relationship
all that.
with them
Mhm.
already, for the longest time. I mean, it's Smallville
Yeah.
was super successful, so we're like, yeah.
And again,
That's a shot.
these legacy sequels
People still
aren't
talk
for
about
us.
Smallville.
Like this
Crazy.
Beetlejuice
No,
movie
for
is
sure.
for the Gen Z, crowd. Like it is.
Yeah.
I think that's
so it's
stupid
harder.
though. Like
I mean, that's
personally,
who's
For
gonna buy
us,
the movie.
we're
Like,
the ones
it's
who are
literally about
connected to this
dollars.
universe. Yeah.
personally,
know.
I think that's dumb. I understand
Why?
reboots and remakes being for like the new generation because it's
Mhm.
like I'm not going back to watch my mom's version of whatever. Like make a new one for me, like they usually do, and I'll watch it. But
Yeah.
something called Beetlejuice, I personally feel like it just can't be for this generation because they didn't watch
They
the
didn't
one that
grow up
came
through
out.
a
They
universe
didn't grow
like we
up
did.
with
Yeah.
like
These
unless
They
you
characters.
grew
did
up
in a
with
sense.
it. You know,
They saw the repeats on TV, and they grew up with us
Probably.
talking about it
Yeah.
forever. Like we've never shut
I
up about some of these
don't
know.
movies, like
Yeah.
I
ever.
don't know.
So they
I'm gonna talk
heard
to my
about it.
24-year-old sister right now and be like, yo, like, what did you
You
think of
seen
Beetlejuice?
Beetlejuice?
And she's never seen it before in her life.
Yeah.
And she was born in 2000. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I just feel like I feel like films like this would do better if you were creating them for the people that grew up with them as opposed to, but if you created something different, maybe like
I'm
don't
literally
know.
the generation for Beetlejuice, and people my age are less likely to go to the theater now than before. So you got to
Right.
get the young crowd.
Oh.
You got to get the
But I
crowd.
feel
that's
like
going to
most
the theater.
legacy sequels are for us. Because
Right. Yeah. Good.
Yeah, I would think so.
It's both a nostalgia thing.
yeah, because we take
know,
the
they're
kids
trying
to
to
go
bank
see
off
it. Like
of
we,
and-
you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
not that I got kids.
But-
no, thank you. But like, we the ones that take the kids to go see it because they won't
Hold
be like,
that,
let's
by
go
the
see
way.
Beetlejuice. Oh, I
Yeah.
will, sir.
Mhm.
I
No,
will
please.
hold
I
it
please.
for quite some time. Thinking of raising another person frightens me. I don't know how people do it. I shout out to
It
the
is,
parents out there.
Right.
It is difficult.
For sure.
It is difficult.
Making sure somebody
Yeah.
don't turn out nuts. That's crazy. I'm barely hanging on. I can't teach somebody else. It's crazy. I salute
Right.
it. My weave is off
Your
to
hat.
everybody. You know, my weave, my braids are off to.
So this week, I watched another movie because I do it too much. This time I watched
such
the freshman attempt by Paul Thomas Anderson, Hard 8.
Oh.
And
Never heard of it.
so
That
it's
was his
right before
first
he did
film?
Boogie Nights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is his
okay.
first feature-length film, I
Mhm.
should say, because
Yeah,
he did two
right.
shorts before this.
Mm.
One was the story called Coffee and Cigarettes, which is what Hard 8 became, or was made off of. And then he did the Dirk Diggler story, which became Boogie Nights. Then, because of those two proof of concepts, he was given the
Yeah.
ability to do Hard 8. And you know, like him or hate him, I understand not everybody's a fan. I'm a huge fan because this dude knows how to make a movie. Like he knows the structure. He knows how to make it, even in his freshman approach, like really made it solid. Look at the casting. He's got John C. Reilly, who of course he worked with again. He's got Sam Jackson, Philip Baker Hall. He's got John C. I said that, but
Gwyneth
Paltrow, and then
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Philip Seymour Hoffman makes an appearance, and
he
he almost makes the movie because you just like you want to wring his neck.
When did that come out?
This was 96. So this was way early.
Yeah.
And so, but going back, like you can still see, you know, PTA's like how he shoots films. Like every movie he's made has a very specific kind of look and structure. There's a not like a Fincher grittiness, but there's always some form of grittiness to it. And this film really does the trick. Philip Baker Hall is such a subtle actor, but he pulls this role off, and you're just like, it's tense. It's a very tense film, and it takes some twists and turns. So if you like even one of Paul Thomas Anderson's films, I think it's worth a watch because it shows that he's kind of always kind of had that kind of stuff to make films. So
I didn't know his partner was Maya Rudolph.
Yeah,
I know that. It's pretty dope.
So I don't know. There Will Be Blood I've never, you know, qualmed about the fact that that's basically my number one movie. Still, I just love it to death.
It's a solid film.
Yeah, it's just it's hard not to look at all of his films in the same way. They're not all my like, cup of tea as far as story. I mean, this is literally about gambling and betrayal, which is, you know, it's typical thriller type stuff. But he manages to make it more palatable than just like your basic thriller. But ultimately, I don't care what stories he's telling most of the time. I'm actually just more interested in how he's telling them. So
the man who brought my biggest fear to life with Magnolia and the Raining Frogs. I'm terrified of frogs. So that is
really?
I would literally die. Like I don't know what I would do if that actually happened. So that's
and it's apparently possible. Like it's not impossible. It can rain fish and frogs and other things in the right storm conditions. So I'm sorry to bring that up. I had an MRI this week, and it made me think of like a short horror story where somebody gets phically trapped in an MRI because they actually like belted my neck down with like a clamp. So I couldn't move. I had to like go zen for 10 minutes, you know.
That sounds like the movie. But
then I was like, man, if I had to get out of here, I'm sitting here thinking about this while I'm getting the MRI. I'm like, what am I doing to myself? I'm like putting myself through a horror movie. So I had to stop and get out of there. But.
No, it sounds like the Hayden Christensen movie Awake, where he's like he can feel everything that's happening to him while he's under anesthesia.
Oh my god!
There's a Tales from the Crypt episode like that where the girl is given anesthesia and they like ultimately do surgery on her for the public. It's really bizarre because that's Tales from the Crypt and it's spooky season. We can get really gross.
Tales from the Crypt.
Speaking of Tales from the Crypt, I didn't mention this earlier, but I did see the Christopher Reeve episode of Tales from the Crypt.
Oh
and he actually plays the owner of a restaurant that serves human meat for
delicious
dinner, which is like wow, Superman, what are you doing?
Succulent and divine.
How you doing, Reggie? Welcome. So yeah, Hard 8 definitely worth checking out. I gave it an 8 I think on Letterboxd. Pretty solid.
Nice.
I see what you did.
All right. With that said, we have the
I thought that was funny, Brian. That was great.
Sorry, I didn't hear. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to speak
you gave Hard 8 an 8.
I think Ty would be proud of that too.
Now you have to ask yourself: does a Hard 8 come in the movie? Does it show up in the movie? I'm not going to spoil it for you. You have to watch it yourself.
Sure, it does.
Maybe. Anyway, now the news.
Now it's time for the real news.
All right, so this week it's kind of a light news week for movies, but we are going to go over anyway. Apparently, Joker 2 did so bad that it almost broke records for drop-off in the second week. So bad that Terrifier 3 is outdoing it. Terrifier 3. You know, the one where the guy
for
like
spending $200 million on a Joker movie. Like,
right? So now they're saying there's a new clown in town, and it is, of course, Art the Clown.
It's like free marketing too. It's like they gotta like just like build off of this Joker.
But I think that's what people wanted. People wanted like a Joker film. And I was like, you didn't even get that in the first one. So what made you think you was gonna get that in the second one? But okay.
That's fair. I still thought that was kind of wild that a really, really gory horror film, like
Yeah.
a torture porn horror film,
Yeah.
is outdoing a
Beating-
DC film, no matter how
Yeah.
bad it's. I
That
just
made
never.
where the first film made like what, $1 billion?
Yeah, I just
Right.
didn't expect it. But hey, we're in weird times. Janine, you had a story to tell.
Yeah, I recently saw that I guess Chris Evans wants to produce a Gene Kelly biopic where he's playing Gene Kelly. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know about that. A lot of people are suggesting if they do it, they should have Jonathan Bailey play Gene Kelly, which I think would be great because he is a song and dance man himself. I've seen clips of what he's doing in Wicked, and he looks incredible. So, yeah, I don't know Chris Evans' background in that
He
kind
taps.
of.
He
Okay.
taps.
Okay.
He taps, you said?
He taps.
Nice.
And-
He's been on like some like shows where he's like, they're like, give us a 5, 6, 7, 8 or whatever, you know how they
Yeah.
making him dance.
Yeah.
And he was like, he'll just do like a little thing that he knows and he'll go. So he does tap. He grew up tap dancing. So.
Okay, so I don't know, like if he's kept up with his tapping, but I know years ago they were kind of formulating a Little Shop of Horrors with him and his frequent collaborator Scarlett Johansson, but I don't think that never happened. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, if that would work, and depending on when it takes place, I think Chris Evans is what, close to 50, so
That's crazy.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's weird. That messes with my head.
Yeah.
right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, just
I
really
grew up
thought that
watching
was
Chris Evans.
Yeah.
yeah. So him kind of going the musical route is not how we really think of him. So I thought that was really interesting.
I'm excited for that. He's at a point in his career where he done got all the money in the world and he's done all kind of things. Why not? Like, I feel like that's a natural trajectory of most actors.
Take the chance and do something.
Go take
different.
the chance, and you produce
if
it
you're gonna
yourself
keep going,
too. So if it's a
change
loss,
something.
it's your money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I love Gene Kelly. Like I love Gene Kelly. So if he's going to do it, he better do it correctly. He better do it because he.
But
loves
he's
it.
also infamously,
He
I've
loves Gene
heard,
Kelly.
is an asshole. So I hope they are true to who the man really was.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Not like a
he
great
tortured
showman.
poor Debbie
type of
Reynolds
thing.
on Singing in the Rain. I've
yeah.
heard. So
Heard that.
Yeah,
story.
she's talked about that. Yeah.
So we'll see.
So finally, the last story this week is we're getting a Ready or Not 2. Ready or Not is by far one of my favorite modern horror films.
Fun. Oh my
Samara
gosh.
Weaving will be returning.
So
Director will
What
be
a
returning.
surprise,
So
too, like,
yeah,
Yes, out of nowhere.
right.
So fun.
Love that movie.
And people compare it to Your Next, and
me too.
I just Ready or Not. It's like I don't even compare them.
Yeah.
They're like
Well, in
this to
terms of
me.
kind of like the storyline, I think more than anything
Yeah.
else.
Yeah. I get the comparison, but yeah, like for me, it's
so much.
like I still like enjoyed Your Next.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't hate it. I wasn't like, oh boo, this movie.
Yeah,
but
Ready
I
or Not.
wasn't.
But the
It didn't
surprise
hit
of Ready
this
or Not.
because it got hyped
yeah,
a little
exactly.
bit.
Yeah.
The
so.
surprise of
Oh, boo!
yeah.
This movie is hilarious.
A
And
fun
Samara
original
Weaving.
film coming out of nowhere.
And Samara Weaving's so
Yeah.
good in it. Too.
She is. She is.
Shout out to Samara.
All that stuff in a wedding dress, like
Yes.
rad.
I think there were like 12 or 13, 15 different versions of that.
Yeah, I
dress
bet.
as it, like, yeah.
Well, because
Yeah,
you had to eat
Gets
each
destroyed.
each tear,
Yeah.
each like
Yeah,
bloody
how much
mess.
blood is on her? Like,
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
What a
What
department.
a continuity.
Costume
nightmare.
departments, man, they don't get the credit, man. They just
Yes.
don't.
That's
They
the
really
that's the
deserve
thing.
it.
It's like all about continuity, and like you should see like how many times they have to take pictures of them too. So they have to like constantly take
Mhm.
pictures of them before they go out and
To the
shoot.
next
you know,
thing,
yeah,
yeah.
because that's all continuity. It's like, okay, we gotta make sure this amount
This
of
bandage
blood
was
or
on
this
this
hair is
hand
like
and-
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's wild
it's
because there are so many of us, and I've been guilty of this, where we'll be like, oh, look at that error.
They missed
look
it.
at that,
yeah,
look at that
totally.
little error,
Yeah.
and we
I
fixate
know.
on it, and instead of just like going, wow, everything but that error, which is
Right.
what we
That's
should
the
be
only
doing.
thing I
Yes.
got through. Like
And the
yeah,
effort
yeah.
that would take into like keeping track of all that. Like if you miss
Yeah.
something once, it's gonna happen.
Right.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
Starbucks cup in Game of Thrones is like the most famous one at this point.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And even
yeah.
that's almost unforgivable, but at the same time, like, come on, we're all human.
So many
It
things
happens.
to look at
man.
and
know.
logistically
Right.
you have to do. Yeah.
But the,
I'm a
the thing
hard
is too, they
person.
you
Like, it's
totally
been
can
8
remove that
years.
in post. I mean, like
It's been 8
They
years.
totally-
Get it together.
They could have got it in post. You're right. And that's
Yeah.
that's
They
the
could've.
editor didn't go, whoa, guys, wait a
What
minute.
is
because
this
so many
doing
people
here?
have seen it.
Right.
You know, there's a
Mhm.
process.
So it's like, why?
how
Like,
many people
yeah.
saw that?
Like,
Like,
how many people
yeah.
have seen it for you
Yeah.
to just
Or-
leave it?
If that many people saw it and still got through, maybe cause a controversy, you know.
Right.
You never know.
Right.
You
Well,
never
that's-
know.
Yeah.
that's- there,
People are
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about our show.
Yeah, that makes
Right.
sense.
You never know. I don't know. I don't even claim to know. That said, we do, of course, have our spooky spotlight with Batsy McSkelly, and we're going to head to that right now.
And now it's time for the spooky spotlight with Bats McSkelly.
I'm Bats McSkelly, aka Batsy Hearts Horror on TikTok. I'm here to help you creepify your life this spooky season by sharing my thoughts and recommendations about horror movies. Have your own thoughts about a movie I talk about? Come find me on TikTok and tell me about it. Here's some horror I watched this week. Salem's Lot. When author Ben Mears comes back to his childhood home in search for some inspiration for his next book, he discovers that people in his hometown are mysteriously turning into blood-sucking vampires. I give this one a 7 out of 10 stars. Compared to the original, this one feels a little rushed. I wish they had kept it as a mini-series because some of the plot points needed more fleshing out. I love the updated look of the special effects, and overall, it's fun to watch. They hit all the classic vampire tropes, and there are some good scares to set the mood for the season. Find it on Max. Halloween 1978. This horror classic is a yearly watch for me. It doesn't feel like spooky season without OG Michael Myers. I love this movie. 8 out of 10 stars. Find it on Plex or rent it on your favorite streaming service. Since this week's theme on The Real Study is schlocky horror, here's what I recommend in the subgenre. Troll from 1986. A wicked troll king in search of a mystical ring that will transform him into human form invades a San Francisco apartment complex where a powerful witch lives. Make it a double feature and also watch Troll 2 from 1990. A vacationing family discovers that the entire town they're visiting is inhabited by hungry, human-eating goblins disguised as humans. I love these movies so much. Troll is such a comfort movie for me. They're both so whimsical but completely unhinged at the same time. They're the epitome of the schlocky B-rated horror. I give them both 7 out of 10 stars. Find them both on Tubi. Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Teens Mike and Debbie witness a comet crash on the outskirts of their small town. When they track it down, they discover murderous aliens who look exactly like circus clowns. Killer Clowns is campy and colorful. The over-the-top methods by which the clowns kill their victims are as silly as they are creative. I give Killer Clowns an 8 out of 10 stars. Find it on Prime. I love schlocky horror. Give me practical effects, a creepy monster with cheesy gags and good humor, and I'm happy. What's your favorite schlocky horror movie? Thanks for watching.
All right. Thanks, Batsy, for that. We appreciate that every week. And of course, we'll have that going on at least through spooky season. We'll see what happens after that. Hopefully she'll keep going because there's plenty of horror. And I know there's a community of horror fans that will just watch year round. So she's there for them. She was very mad because I haven't watched Troll or Troll 2 ever. And those are her favorites. So we have a whole new Child's Play situation going on where she's going to sit me down and have me watch a couple Trolls movies.
Oh no!
So we'll see how that goes.
Good luck, buddy.
Yeah,
I've seen the Killer Clowns, but it's been a long time. So yeah, heck yeah. All right, so we've got some of our own schlocky horror movies to talk about this evening.
Do you want to go ahead and for the people, give us a definition of schlocky? Because
so
it's one of those things where you hear it and you're like, I kind of know what that is, but me the whole time I was like, really, I have no idea what that means.
Sure. So schlock or schlocky is cheap, so low budget. Always kind of the acting feels a little lame. Everything feels a little off, and just kind of cheap. And both of these movies fit that. Mystery Science Theater 3000 deals with like old schlocky, 50s, 40s stuff. So this is just modern. Well, modern is 45 years ago. Modern schlock, if you will. There you go. So the first one is Night of the Creeps, and this is an interesting film, if you will. Whose first time was this on Night of the Creeps? Because this was actually my first. So this is everybody's first time. Because I know, Law, this was your first time on Night of the Creeps as well. Is that correct? Is she frozen?
I think she's frozen.
She is frozen.
Oh, weird. Because for a minute I thought she was just looking at her phone. All right, that's okay. So since this is everybody's first attempt, and since Brian is actually very newer to horror than everybody else, I'm going to start with Brian with this one, because like the last 2 years have been like your real delve into.
No, totally, yeah, like really. So really diving in,
So what did you think of Night of the Creeps?
Night of the Creeps. This one, it was. So first off, I think there needs to be like a creep counter, like how many times they say creeps or creep in the movie. You're like, oh, okay. It said the one time, and then they kept saying
Peter
it.
Griffin.
Yeah. Like Tom Atkins.
Yeah,
He
he's
like
like
steals
king
the
of schlock
show.
movie.
Man,
Yeah, he's in all of them.
his lines are incredible.
Yes.
Really are.
Like, oh my god. I actually really enjoyed this movie. I was like, both these movies, I was like, oh god. You know, I was really not. Yeah, I was like, this is gonna be rough. But then I like really got into this one. Like,
Yeah,
there's a lot of like,
movies.
yeah, there's a lot of like setup. I will say like they do take a good chunk of time to like. I mean, first off, like that opening, I'm like,
Those aliens went
and we never see them again, just over the ship. And
Right.
I'm like, what is going on? Yeah, even that, because like right away I was like that was, it was a really great like setup as far as like production design. It looked really great. You know, I was like, oh, this is cool. And I will say, like, this one felt a little more higher production value than I would say Society, even for me. This one just like really, I mean, there's a lot of like great camera work in there. We had some zollies in there. A lot of great stuff. There's a lot of like crane work in this. And the like practical effects were like pretty decent. I mean, there was some ridiculous stuff. I mean, the dog killed me.
And the
I just,
guy's
like,
face
oh
after
man,
getting like
yeah. That was yeah, like his eyes, like
yeah.
oh man, yeah. So this one was like, it was like I was describing it to someone earlier. I was like, it's like a mix of like a zombie, it's like zombie horror mixed with like a college comedy, you know, and you put those two together. And yeah, it's like really fun.
There's a lot of like there's a lot of like setup. I will say like they do take a.
There we go. Anyway, it was, so I was like really, really pleasantly surprised by this movie. So it was a lot of fun. I mean, you got flamethrowers. I mean, come on, it's like, yeah, and like the line, there's that line we used in our little promo that I like really loved. When he like, oh
good
man,
news,
like, good news and bad news. Your dates
Yeah.
are here. The bad news, they're all dead. Yeah.
Right.
So good.
It was it was good. It was fun. It was like, I mean, it's not, you know, it's not
Academy.
you know, making
Not winning any award.
It's not,
It's not
You go
it's
into
pretty
it-
A
bright.
Razzie.
Yeah,
Win a
but
Razzie.
it
Go
was-
into it understanding what these films are. You'll have fun with it.
yeah,
It's perfect bright. It's not
trying
it's
to
a
be
perfect
that.
sentence. It's just great.
yeah. But yeah,
That
it's
sums
fun.
it up.
So yeah.
All right. So Janine, this was also your first Night of the Creeps. So tell us what you think.
Yeah, so I, found myself really enjoying schlocky horror last year when I started doing a series on my TikTok where I was trying to find films that will fit every month by theme. So like, Labor Day, so movies about people working and things like that. So in trying to find horror films that fit every month, I found a ton of schlocky horror films and watched a ton of schlocky horror films and found myself really enjoying them and really having a lot of fun with them. So I was looking forward to this movie and I had a lot of fun with it. I really loved the best friend character. Like he was such a good friend. Like I really got emotional. I got so emotional hearing that recording. Like he was such a good friend. So I like that they have some grounded stuff in there. So it's not all completely ridiculous. They give you some really good character stuff. Like, because these films, you don't expect it. And you get some really good character moments.
No, like
so I
legitimate heart,
right?
Yeah.
Yes. Also that lead actor, Rusty from, I think, European Vacation, and Blake Lively's brother. So, randomly. Yes. Wow. Yeah. I love that we got some genuine character moments. The gore I think looked pretty good. I loved the scene when Tom Atkins actually like one kind of slithers at him, he grabs it and just like says like no, not today or whatever, and like throws it in the corner. I liked the setup of the invasion. I I was kind of confused at first, kind of like, okay, we get these aliens and then we're in the 50s and then we jump and jump and jump. But ultimately, the story that we get from that all kind of comes back together and makes sense. So generally, I went into this looking for a good time, and I had a good time. So I liked the characters. I thought the girl, with the blowtorch and him like shooting them, and her like that was like so badass. So some really cool character moments, some really solid emotional moments that you aren't really expecting, and just a lot of fun. So I enjoyed myself.
100%. Halfway through this movie, because this was also my first viewing, halfway through this movie, I realized, no, maybe not halfway. As soon as the slug showed up, I was like, this is James Gunn redid this movie and called Slither.
Yeah.
This is Slither. Like, this is 100% Slither. It's about a cop. It's like everything like lines up.
It's got a
but this one was
comedy
creepier, not to be a pun person, but this one was creepier than Slither. Slither was just gross. Like, it was great, but it was gross. And this was like, they're faster, they're scarier in that way.
And they're all in the corner, just like
oh my god,
I was like, you're kidding me.
Whoa.
And I love that this movie knows 1,000% what it is, and it decided right away to be like, we know we're a terrible schlocky horror film, and we're gonna just
he even says a line to that, like, is this
he even says,
a
terrible movie?
Like,
his
lines were so good.
So good.
Tom Atkins, I've seen him do serious, I've seen him do this like kind of more ridiculous, and he can do it both. And he is like the godfather of 80s horror. Like he protected us in every instance. So you can't hate it. Love seeing Dick Miller for like a microsecond. That was beautiful. Just playing a cop, and then David Paymer just kind of showing up as the scientist guy. Love both of those things. Wow, what did you think of Night of the Creeps? This was your first viewing, correct?
Correct. I went into it with bad intentions, but then came out of it like, okay. Because I went into it like, 80s horror is going to be like chock full of the reddest blood you ever seen in your life. It's going to be chock full of bright red blood. The bright red blood. I had all these like negative thoughts in my head already. And I was like, you need to remove those and just watch the film. And so I removed those and I watched the film. And I was like, this film is so stupid, but I enjoyed it 100%. Like, it could be stupid and I can still enjoy it, because Super Mario Bros. One of my favorite movies. It is stupid, but I enjoy it.
So dumb.
It's dumb. It makes no sense to the game in no way, but it's, but I still love it. With Night of the Creeps, I love that in the 80s, love happens in 0.5 seconds. And I think it's the greatest thing that movies do, is that like you can look at a person, you can be nice to a person, and they're like, we're made to be. Like, we're meant to be.
Boyfriend's mean to someone. You've seen him be an asshole this whole time.
This whole time, like
one time.
Exactly.
Crutches, and you're like, I'm done.
You're like, it's like, okay, girl.
She was really good at that too.
Yeah, she did a really good job.
She did that solidly. But I always think it's like, I think the 80s has a it's weird. It's like, either if you're a female blonde, you're dumb. If you're a male blonde, you're a villain. You're the mean guy.
This one hits the cliche bingo.
It does, like so much through like everything. It's so 80s.
In this bingo game, everybody has the same cards, even, because it's so perfect. Everybody,
like, it's so good. And like, it came out the year I was born, so of course I didn't see this thing, but it came out the year I was born, and I'm like, some really solid things came out when I was born, and some stupid stuff too. And I need to watch the stupid stuff that came out during when I was born, because I think I missed a lot. I will say, I think this is no offense to what's his name? Jason Lively. This is no offense to Jason Lively, but he should have been the best friend, and the best friend should have been the lead. Because I wanted the lead to live, because he had all the sauce, all the swag, all the juice, whatever word you want to use.
Monologue that he gives about his friend being dumb.
It was like, I was like, did they pluck that out of like a play?
He's so good.
Like, this is not belonging
so
in this
good.
movie.
He's funny, he's charismatic, like he's so good, and he's like, look at my life. Why do I don't take anything seriously? I don't have to. I don't need to. My life is serious enough.
having this disability has a call. He has
totally.
and his disability is not even like a thing that is
a thing, really.
Yeah.
But I do love that.
Kind
like
of ahead of the game.
The only thing that happened with him with his disability is that the guy tripped him. Right.
Yeah.
Any other time, if you see somebody in the film with a disability, it's always like it's harped on. It's like this has been his life for quite some time. Like we don't have to draw attention to it because this is just who he is. And I do.
Well, he was even joking about it, like self.
Yeah.
About it.
And I do like that. I do like that the lead character grew confidence over time, grew his confidence over time, just noticing things, seeing things, kissing her at the end. I was like, that's big boy status. You better kiss her at the end. Y'all done saved everybody. You better kiss her at the end. But like this film kind of gave me like the Faculty vibes with like the alien, like kind of, really I was kind of getting the Faculty, like not like 100%, but I was just getting like a.
But no, you're right, because they turn zombie like it's brain.
Yeah, it's like it's
an unlikely theme of characters forming. I love.
Yeah, like the only difference is like you couldn't get them out of the people, like. You just had to like this one. You just had to kill him
though in the Faculty.
Nah, that's you're right. You're right.
Definitely missing.
Night of the Creeps was weird, but I had moments where I thoroughly enjoyed it. You know what I mean? I had moments where like once the action started to ramp up and people started to realize like what was going on, I think that's when it kind of got seated in like its filming type of thing. Like it got seated and I was like, oh, okay. But I think it's interesting how like the things, it makes sense because like they essentially become like zombies, but it's like one goes in, a bajillion comes out. And it's like, it's like y'all multiply while y'all in there. I'm like, that's nuts. And I love like practical effects. I love that like you shoot them in the head and their head just kind of like comes open, and they all kind of come out. That scene with Tom Atkins and he catches it, he just throws it. I said, sir, you didn't kill it though. If it wanted to.
I think that's the one that came back and got him because it was pissed.
I would think so. He was in the corner. He was in the corner. He was like, I'm gonna get you, my boy. I'm gonna get you. And it just had like some funny moments. It had some goofy moments. It had some like lowbrow moments. I just felt like it hit a lot of it checked a lot of boxes.
Oh, it hit every
I just think it
too.
I just think it helped. It
the
hit a lot of boxes
for no reason. Like
for no reason. For no reason. But that's in society. We'll get to that one. But like for no reason. But Night of the Creeps was a fun little jaunt, if I have to say so.
Yeah.
The way that JC says, Chris, I got to walk, man. Like
oh my god, I know.
I was like, dude, so like he had the confidence and
my
he was a
own,
zombie, and then he was like wandered around for a little while, and he had the wherewithal to make a tape.
Right?
Like, what a great best friend,
and take himself to a place where it would like destroy the other ones.
Yeah, but that just shows you how strong he is. I think that was like because his character has always been strong, that he's able to like fend off this entity for as long as he could. Like that's like nobody else. Yes, nobody else has done that. Everybody else got taken over, zombified, like it's over, and he was able to like
how to destroy it. I need to pass this information on.
How crazy, like. It's crazy how like he's probably the best developed character in that whole film. Like
he is.
They really like
100%.
wrote him so well and like really developed him as like, and so like I agree. Like
he should have been the lead of the film.
He should have been. He should have been the lead.
Like
they could have kept the same characters. Like they didn't even change names. He could have just been the lead that like survived. Maybe he still got like the creature in him, but somehow he was able to get it out and like everybody else died. And he gets the girl because I feel like he deserved the girl more than the old boy did. I'm just saying.
He even walks off and goes, get him, buddy. Like go, great guy. I
like him.
I think the reason they went with Lively with Jason was because he had the build. He had that like 80s jockey look build and the hair. The kid that played JC was kind of scrawny. I just don't.
But like he's also like, and this is no.
He's got to be a
It's
fraternity
it's a stereotype.
His like for sure.
In the 80s, that's what everything was.
And this is not knocking like his acting, because I'm not saying he's a bad actor. It's the first thing I've seen him in, but also he's a nepo baby. So like the Livelies are like a very like they've been in Hollywood.
Dude, he's
so, like,
Rusty Griswold from National Lampoons. Like
like
he's the
writer.
Yeah, he's Yeah, he's a nepo baby too. So like, I'm not saying he's a bad actor. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying he's in a position. Okay, I don't want nobody to come after me and stuff. But I'm just saying. But you know,
you can say somebody's a bad actor. That is, you can.
No. But he's
You
not.
are
Like, I don't think he is. You know, but people equate nepo baby with being a bad actor, and that's not how I equate it.
I don't think those two things are equal. I think it's chances given that.
But a lot of people are saying. But a lot of people blur those lines, and I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying that he's a bad actor because he is a nepo baby.
Yeah. I think once people hear nepo baby, then they like then it removes the whole like
but nepo babies themselves think that's what somebody's saying about them.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's why I'm like really stressing it.
That's all I'm ever
saying. But honestly, that's what
walk through that door, but you have an open door where somebody else doesn't.
Exactly, and that's the definition of a nepo baby. But every other nepo baby don't get that. They're like, I done this smite. No, you didn't. Like, I can't get into these rooms as quickly as you can. It's a little harder for me to get there.
Doesn't mean you're gonna get picked.
I wish everybody had that Jack Quaid, because Jack Quaid was like, nepo baby, yep, that's me. Like, it's
I like that response.
So I had to do the work, but I'm not gonna lie and not say I didn't have,
exactly advantages. And I love him for that. Zoe Deschanel, she's on the opposite end of that. Because your daddy, come on, opposite end of that. I'm gonna need y'all to get it together. Like, come on, just a little bit. But I digress.
So this movie, I think, has 2 sequels. There's Night of the Creeps 2 and Night of the Creeps 3. I don't know anything about them, but I am curious at least about 2 to see if it continues with the same characters or if we progress to a whole nother story. Because obviously our aliens are running off to find this pod.
If we don't have Tom Atkins in those.
I know, right?
You know, it'd be dope if like the one alien that got out was like a prisoner of war or something like that. And that's why the aliens kind of like had it locked up, but somehow it just dropped out and it escaped. And that's why they're like searching for it. I'm pretty sure that's not the story, but I like that kind of story that like it was like an alien that aliens had to like lock up. Like that's how afraid they were of
at
it.
the beginning. It feels like biological warfare to me.
Like this is what they were like, let's see what happens.
They created it on accident or something.
Yeah, they called it an experiment. I think this experiment can't get out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If you watch their, I love too how they had subtitles, but then you also had to have like English subtitles under their subtitles, right? Like alien subtitles.
Alien language.
Right.
Thumb creatures, whatever they.
And why were they just naked? I don't know. Maybe that's just being human, and I feel like things must wear clothes. I don't know.
It was so
There's a bias there, maybe. I don't know. Well, why don't we go ahead and rate Night of the Creeps? Unless you guys have anything else you want to say about it. I mean, I can tell you that I laughed and felt and cheered even when the kid when Chris knocked on the door. Actually, we didn't talk about that, so I want to. Chris knocks on the door of the detective's house. And I'm like, it's like the music's kicking up. You're like, oh, is it one of the zombies? And I'm like, no, this has to be Chris because he's got to be going back to try to figure this out. Yeah. It has to happen. And of course, he opens the door. It is. But did you guys catch that the detective was trying to commit suicide? Like, he had the duct tape. He had the duct tape, and he was running his gas stove.
Yep.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so,
he essentially got his wish at the end anyway.
So we already knew he was going to die anyway. So him dying at the end, I was like, well, at least he went out like a hero.
I mean, I would prefer you go out that way. Like, don't kill yourself. Go out saving other people. Like, go out doing what you signed up to do as a cop. You know what I mean?
Well, and I feel like he redeemed the loss of his girlfriend and the murder.
No, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, his vengeance murder.
Yeah.
Which was odd.
He was haunted.
Scene.
Oh,
he
yeah.
was kind of haunted that entire movie, though. He was haunted that entire movie.
It felt a little bit like Phoebe Cates' Gremlin's monologue.
There were 2 other things. So one, was it Brad? What was her boyfriend's name? The blonde.
Brad.
Was it Brad?
Totally Brad.
When he was totally zombied out, I was like, dude, he looks like a Deadite from Evil Dead. Like he had the, Evil Dead look. Like Brad from Evil Dead looked like. With
but part of me was like, girl, you ain't paying attention to his face. You just walked out the door, grabbed his hand, sat down.
Somebody
on the
walked
steps.
past the security guard.
I know,
and they didn't see him. Like people in this movie were oblivious.
No, very much so. She's like, Brad, stop. Like the girl who opened the door is like, Brad, stop playing.
Brad's here.
Like, girl, stop. like nobody else is dressed like this. Nobody else look like this. Is it Halloween? No, it's not. What are we doing?
The other movie that this reminds me of is a really lesser known Australian horror film called Undead. which is about an entity that creates zombies from space. So it's got that same kind of something coming down and creating zombies. And there's even a triple shotgun. If you've ever seen the cover, it shows this person in a gas mask holding a triple shotgun. And it's like this. It's a riot. It's over the top. It's ridiculous, and it's Australian, so it like has all those beautiful elements. It's almost like exploitation set, like but 2000s horror. So it's interesting.
Interesting.
Anyway, let's rate Night of the Creeps. Let's go in the same order. All the movie things. What do you rate Night of the Creeps?
I'm gonna give it a 7.5. Actually, yeah, it was a fun surprise. Yeah.
All right.
I
How about
probably
you,
won't watch 2 or 3, but
now if I told you it's as good as 1, you might.
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah. I give it a chance.
Janine, what do you rate Night of the Creeps?
I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. I had a lot of fun with this, and just that character was just so great. I wasn't expecting it to have a character with so much heart. So
totally.
love that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. How about you, La? What do you rate Night of the Creeps?
Well, if we're going in the order, you should go next.
Oh, that's a good point. I did go. Yeah, you're right.
Just saying.
That's fair. That's a fair point. I gave this a 9. I think. Wait, I think I might have given it a 9.5 on Letterboxd.
Come on, 9.5.
I didn't mess around.
Yeah.
I laughed so hard and had such I was active with this film. I was like talking to it. I was engaging with it, and that's not often. I did. I gave it a 9.5, so I'm going to give it a 9.5 on the Real Study as well. This is
nice.
This is as close to schlocky perfection as you can get. So,
well, for me, like I didn't even feel like it was as like I was really expecting to be like lean even more into the schlockiness of it, but I was like kind of impressed with some of the production value of it, you know. So I was like, oh, this is actually a little better than I was expecting in that regard. But yeah.
That's fair. 100%. That's totally fair. How about you, La?
I'll give it a 7.
A 7.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So it means you might watch it again.
I might. Yeah. That's exactly what it means. Yes, sir.
I like it. I like it. All right. So we do have another film. This one I think is going to be a very different discussion.
Sure will.
Just because I have seen this movie before.
Lord.
And I picked this one intentionally because I knew that this would bring things to people. All right. Yeah. So Society is a 1989 horror film. And this is kind of in the political realm of its giving commentary.
It wanted to be anyway.
Like, it's trying to give commentary on the 80s.
It's like
socialism,
consumerism.
It's not Parasite. Let's just say that it's trying to do Parasite stuff, but
yeah. All right. So whose first viewing was this? Everybody but me. Okay. So let's go in reverse order. How about I actually explain why I picked the movie?
There you go. Come on, reverse.
Yeah, explain yourself.
So
exactly.
I like body horror a lot, and anything that deals with the creepy crawly of the human body and like Possessor or anything Cronenberg. I really dig that stuff, and this does fit well in that vein.
That was her last name,
you know.
Cronenberg.
I know. I was like,
I did like.
Yeah, when she said her last name, I was like,
I did like that it got really, it just went there. It was okay with going as far as it wanted to make its point about society, if you will. And if you can't handle body horror, like if you've seen The Thing and you were squeamish, I wouldn't watch Society. I would just walk away from it because it gets pretty freaking weird and gross. And I laughed. I laughed at a lot of that ending stuff.
Really juicy and jelly.
It does. It's a very wet,
gooey.
Gooey's.
I was like, this was the time though, because Alien was like juicy and wet, so that kind of makes sense. It's in the era.
I mean, none of the stuff that they do would make sense unless it was gooey. I just don't think your body could contort like that unless.
No, I don't
know. Unless cells were moving around,
let's not like science it up too much. It's because
I know, right?
I don't even know how to explain what they do.
I know, like
because I would think it would be more.
So ultimately, I know the film is weird. Like I know it's you know, the acting is bad in parts and not terrible in other parts, but it does. There's a paranoia about the film that I enjoy because you can't even for sure know that he's not just seeing things.
They keep that going for a really long time.
So I did like that about it. But that's why I picked it. I knew that it fit kind of nicely with Night of the Creeps because they're both same era and both kind of grody and poking fun at horror in a way. All right, so that means we're going to go to La first. Let's hear what La has to say about Society.
All right, let's get into it. Nah, no, this film was not for me. This was 100% not for me. I sat in my chair and I watched the screen and I said, "Why? Who did this to me? Who decided on this film?" Yes, there he is. He's the culprit.
He's charged.
Okay. All right. Let me just say. Okay.
I need to face you. I need to face
Shut
you.
up. Yeah. So let me. It had moments, okay, where
I mean, did it?
Yeah, like they weren't a lot. They weren't a lot at all. There weren't a lot. It had moments where like Billy Warlock's character, which I mean, I can't stand when the actor has the same name as the character. It really irks me. It shouldn't, but it does. It just really irks me. And I was like, could he not remember a new name? Could he not like if once y'all hired him, just change his name? Like that's like. But anyway, that's just a little side note. But Billy Warlock, like I told Sniddy in the Discord, he had that great 80s like hair. It was giving Rob Lowe. I love it so much. It was very nice. I did enjoy him as a character because being in this setting and knowing something's wrong, but everybody's like, nothing's wrong. And it's like, okay, so how can I explain the things that I'm seeing, these visions that are happening, like whatever is happening? I do feel like because like maybe it's because this is an 80s film, and I know like a lot of 80s and 90s films, like when it comes to writing, sometimes, not all of them, but when it comes to writing, it's kind of lazy writing. It's kind of like the writing just to get us through to the next part. Because like once we got down to the end of it and he's like adopted, but it's like, okay, so y'all must have ate his actual parents and then just
absorbed them.
Or just discovered that they were there. He and then discovered that he was there. Like it just is. I just wanted a little bit more of an understanding of these people because I know that it was like a social, right? Like I know it was like a social commentary on like the upper class, pretty much, you know, being disrespectful and like taking from the lower class and things like that. And that's great. But you're telling me that these aliens, which they don't call themselves aliens, have been here this entire time. So you haven't wiped this place, you haven't wiped this town clean or this city clean, wherever you are, because like y'all just keep eating people. Like y'all just keep like shunting or whatever it's called people. Like you just keep doing this to people. And you're telling me that like it's still people here. Like nobody is caught. Like I get it. Like the people that have caught wind of it, you've either ate them or they're already you. So like the town is just filling up with like the you people.
Yeah, your resources are depleting.
You feel me?
Right?
Like it's
like vampires, it's like daybreakers.
Yeah. It's like how are you with this? You know, with these few people. Like it's just like some stuff was just like I couldn't really push off the campy or like the non-explanation of it. I just couldn't push it off. On top of that, it's disgusting to watch. Like it's just 100,000% disgusting to watch. And like, did I get like queasy or anything like that? No, it was just like visceral and disgusting. And I've seen other visceral things. This was just like gross for the sake of gross to me. Like, I mean, it kind of gave me like Evil Dead Rise vibes with the whole like them kind of like becoming like melding to other bodies and like, but it was just done in a less horrific way than Evil Dead Rise, to the point where like I couldn't be like, oh my god, this is happening. Because when he's like, I guess I am a butthole, I was like, what is this film? What is this? I was like, what is this film? And then, like the moms,
that is a butt pun right there. That's what
it really is. I mean, and then like the mom's like walking on her feet. Like, it's not. It was like very low hanging fruit. And like the mom was walking on the feet, and then like the daughter comes up between the legs, and I'm like, so is this incest?
Well, they said that at the beginning. They said that they
okay, I must have missed that. So like I'm just like
the first original tape that Billy gets to hear.
But I don't think they're actually related.
So,
but I don't think
any of them are really. They're playing like these parts, and I just like it was such a weird film that I didn't need in my life. Like it's
But it's now in your life.
It's now like in my life. I have this in my
people
folders of films. Like
people paid money to make
people
this.
pay money to make it and to go see it. And like I was just watching it the entire time. Like I couldn't have been an actor on this set. Like you want to put a dog thing around my neck and pull me around the room. Like I don't.
You're offering to put pee in my tea, like
you. Like what are we?
What
is time?
First off, the consistency of pee versus cream is not even the same.
No.
Like the.
It's not. You know what I mean? It's just. It's.
I mean.
Let's not science it up too much.
You know.
Right, yeah.
No, we won't. I just had I just didn't like anything. Weird. No, everything about this was weird. Everything about it was weird. Everything about it was juicy. And just like jelly. Everything the right word. It's juicy. This film is like hella juicy. I will say, as a good thing, I enjoyed like the special effects of it, like the practicalness of it, of like when people like the scene where Billy and the one guy that they're fighting or whatever, that fight was trash. I'm like, dang, Billy, I'd have left it. I would have left from embarrassment. That fight was trash.
Yeah.
You wanted to fisticuffs and you could barely hit the dude. I'm just like the dude wasn't even looking and you ran
Billy
and he flipped you over his shoulder.
The protagonist we deserve. I admit.
He isn't. He could have been a little stronger, but when they like kissed and he was like pretty much like sucking all the life out of him or whatever, and then like he like just reached under and pulled him inside out. The face he makes where he's like, oh, his face is like,
and you can hear
graphics. Yeah, you hear like you can hear like that.
Right?
To me, that was like those scenes were like when people like their lips were like stretched and attached. I like the practical effects of that. I thought that was very interesting, as gross as it was. I thought that stuff was interesting. Right. Like, you know, like the one guy, like who was it? His therapist almost had like a Joker smile in a way.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it kind of looked very Joker, and all he did was laugh. So I was like, somebody likes comics on this set because it looked like a Joker smile. So like things like that I enjoy. Overall, no gracias.
No gracias. That is a good way to put it. All right, Janine, what did you think of Society?
Yeah, Society was a movie that was made. Very loopy, and I will agree with the special effects. I think we're really
that on the poster. Very loopy.
Very loopy. Yeah. Very KY. You know, very KY.
Sponsored by KY. I think the special effects were really well done for what they were going for in terms of the body horror and the kind of of people. And if you think about it in comparison to the last film, we got two whole kind of sequences setting up what this story is and why we're here and why this is happening. This film, by the end of it, didn't really give us any more insight on why this is happening, where they came from. You know, even just a couple lines I think could have given us enough. Right. But they don't really give us anything, so why do we care?
Right.
So that's kind of where I sat.
Like, why are y'all here? Like, that was my biggest question. Why are y'all here? Why?
Give us a creative purpose. So by the end of this insane
thing, didn't really feel like there's any stakes.
Yeah,
exactly. And the girl character, like, I like the idea of her not being kind of involved in what they're doing, and she doesn't want to be a part of it anymore because she cares about him or whatever. But even there wasn't enough there to understand.
Like, y'all had sex once and you care
now you're already
like what are we?
It's the 80s. Remember we said
no, for sure. I know, but to me, it's like it was just like her body was all contorted wheel and she weird. And she's like, "What's wrong, Billy? Like, what's wrong?"
Yeah, like what happened? Even not even the emotional aspect with her and him, like what made it so that she's just like, I'm done.
No longer wants to do this. Exactly.
Yeah, like why is she want to rebel against?
Why she's helping him
her own people.
I needed more of kind of that story. I do appreciate though that there was a long build of tension. All of these things. Is he really seeing things? Is it really happening? So I like that they kept that going for fairly a long time. His friend kind of playing tricks on him as well. So that was messing with if these things were really happening or not. It's like one against everybody. It was giving like Fright Night, because that's kind of the vibe Fright Night gives you, like this one guy and nobody believes him and you feel kind of alone in the world. But us as an audience know he's telling the truth kind of thing. But even for a long time, we're wondering,
We're him.
Like the
essentially.
shower.
Like we're
You can't
him.
100% tell if she's turned around or not or whatever, and things like that.
Yes,
but we're him. We're like, well, wait, did that happen? Like we aren't allowed to be in on whatever's happening. We have to just wait for it to be revealed.
Exactly. So I like when movies do that. So I appreciated that aspect of it. But in terms of like making this weird story something
makes sense,
somewhat tangible and makes sense, I think it failed there. So if you're gonna go for it, I appreciate you going for it and doing something crazy outside the box. Like I wholly appreciate that. But make it, earn that.
Make me be like, oh, yo, this is what they really wanted to do.
Like,
I didn't get
like
that.
the metaphor you're going for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that was my thing. I didn't get that moment. I didn't get that moment. I just got like, oh, okay. If I could have got like a, yo, what?
Like
if
a
I could have
cabin
had
in
one
the
of those
woods
moments,
type of moment.
If I could have got a moment like that,
to bring it all together, to make this insanity make sense and why they're doing it to this specific person, then okay, I could maybe get behind.
Because y'all could have ate him ages ago.
Yeah,
like y'all could have ate him ages ago.
Why is he
or anybody ages ago? Like, why did y'all raise him as cattle? Like that's just weird.
Maybe they needed to get him scared enough that it would be worth it.
They were like, good job, you did perfect. Like, was this y'all plan? Like I wish we would have known that they were like creatures and he didn't know, so that we could hear their conversations and hear what they were planning and hear, because I think that would have added to the plot of it a little bit more.
That would have added more tension, because we would have been in on the like
on the joke.
Don't go in there, dude. We know what's gonna happen.
That would have that would have added more tension for sure. But just us like figuring and finding out at the end, and it doesn't really go anywhere. It's like we just eat people who figure us out, and it's like, okay, everybody is about to like eventually is going to figure you out. So y'all just going to be eating nobody in a minute, or just eating each other.
It didn't justify the insanity. Like it didn't come together.
I think that only Billy sees it. That's nobody else does. So
because his friend saw it.
But then his friend ended up seeing it, like when he was kind of posing.
Yeah, his friend saw it when he was a cop. His friend saw it.
So they're courting Billy, and during the courting process, one of his friends accidentally.
But see, that would have been. That would have been cool. It would have been cool if the plot was like they kind of like feed on crazy people. They feed on the people that can see them. Because if nobody else can see them but Billy, it makes sense that he's crazy.
Yeah.
And so they like, okay, we get you to crazy enough. That's food for us. And so we're going to do little things. But this just didn't have like a purpose or a reason. They were just there.
Yeah, and did they even explain like why the mom was just kind of like dumb and out of it?
No.
Like, was she just
she
was just like a messed up.
But if she was and if she was out of them,
she loved makeup.
She loves makeup, and she loves like hair or eating people, however it is, grabbing hair.
Yeah.
But this boy was telling her what to do, and I'm like, ain't she one of them? Like, why is she listening to him like that? I was so confused.
Before we hear what Brian
grab him, I'm like, why are y'all a team now? Like, how did this?
Before we hear what Brian has to say, although I'm almost certain we've already heard a lot about how he feels. Bats did say, I think they need to make this a remake of this so they can flesh it out a little bit more.
Hey, Batsy coming in clutch. Come on.
Right? All right, Brian, let's hear it. I really want to hear your thoughts on society.
Yeah, do you? I don't.
I do.
Your face said it all.
Yeah.
All right, that's the real study. Thanks for coming, guys. We appreciate you.
Nice. I hope I never have to watch this movie ever again. There wasn't anything keeping me invested in it, like seriously, the whole time. And then when it finally even got to, first off, I didn't find it funny. It's supposed to be a comedy. At least that's what it bills itself as. And like, it says comedy horror, and I'm like, none of this is like landing as comedy for me. And even like when it got to like the weird, gross stuff, I was like, that's all you got? Like, I want to like, it wasn't that gross to me. You know what I mean? Like for me, I was like, okay. Like I was just so removed from it by that point. Where I was just agree. Man, this is not, really. But again, I had all the same questions that you guys did to him. Like, why is this happening? Like, where's the, like, I didn't even like care about him, as is like, why is he like crazy? Some of the like practical effects were not great. Like I felt like Night of the Creeps had better practical effects than
100% for
like
sure.
when the mom and had the hands and
the
the
hands
arms
that
for
she was like
legs.
walking.
I was like, she looks nothing like the actress. First of all,
No,
like
listen, when she got out the
Oh,
bed,
God.
when she got out the bed, she
Yeah.
was just like, that wasn't even her face. She was
It
just
was
like,
just like-
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
whoa.
When people were
Yeah.
contorted, it was just the comforter, and like you could tell there was like
Yeah,
obviously
exactly.
somebody
Yeah.
else, like, conditions
Yeah.
cut in half.
Yeah.
Situation.
And I know
And,
some
like-
stuff was supposed to be like visceral, like the hand through the face, but like
I know,
Cassandra
like,
did
that was
that
kinda
better
cool,
in
but,
Deadpool
like-
and Wolverine. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's what I was thinking.
I was
Yeah,
super
that was
afraid of
sweet.
Cassandra. I was like, oh, I was
But-
like, what is this?
But like, yeah. There's, I mean, and then so from my perspective, like the comedy wasn't there, and then all of a sudden it like really tried to like beat you over the head with like, hey, this is the comedy. Like the music changed a little bit too. There's some like funny music, and they were really leaning into these like jokes, and I was like, okay, come on, guys.
Jokes.
Especially
Sorry.
like towards the
No, you're
end,
good.
towards the end when Billy gets out of the hospital, he's like, "Let's party, man!
Oh,
Yeah,
I know, like
let's do
suddenly
it."
his character's
was
totally
like,
different. Yeah, like
I'm like,
you were not like this
bro,
at all the whole time.
You
and
weren't
now
like this the
suddenly-
entire film. You finally
Yeah.
figured out that
Tonight,
you are
like-
correct in what's going
Yeah.
on. These people are setting you up.
And
Your
now
best
you're
friend is
like-
telling you that they're setting you up, and you're
Yeah.
like, let's go party, let's go get it. And I'm just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Why?
Weird reaction,
Why?
yeah.
I just was asking why a lot.
yeah,
So yeah, it
I
was.
think I did that on my first viewing.
Yeah.
I asked
I was
Yeah.
very Michael
I
Jackson.
mean,
why?
especially like
Why?
after watching like Night of the Creeps, which I like had a lot of fun with. I was kind of like expecting it. There's some of the expectation there where they're gonna be kind of like
Mhm.
on par with each other at
Mhm.
least. But I was like, man, this one's not. I mean,
Yeah, it's not
I don't
hitting.
know. Yeah.
So
it's
I got
not
a
hitting.
50% batting record tonight. Okay.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah.
I mean, just even like production value to me wasn't that great.
Yeah.
I felt like even Night, and this is like a 3-year difference. Where like
Mhm.
Night of the Creeps felt like it had better production value, like it looked better, just like from like a filmmaking perspective. Yeah, and this one just wasn't. I mean, even there's some like shoddy camera work in this one too, even where I was just like, oh, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah. Mhm.
So you liked it, it sounds like. It sounds
Yeah.
like you really enjoyed it. That's good. Yeah. Sounds like we're going to get a 10 out of Brian. That's what it's feeling like.
Yeah.
Negative
It's,
10.
goodness.
I don't mind movies like this because I don't mind sometimes filling it in myself.
I don't like that.
I like to think of them as just old gods, and they've just been around. They're not vampires, but they're like they are. They're basically just.
I mean, they
fleshy,
kind of
gooey
say that they're
vampires.
like have lineages of Caesar
Right.
and
Right, and
Right.
Genghis Khan or
So,
whatever they said,
yeah.
They're just around, and they eat us enough to keep us, to keep themselves alive, but not so much that we're going to deplete. And to me, I almost feel like, as a person who's never had wealth in their life, that it does feel like the rich have been rich forever, and it's just been that
Yeah.
way. And that
Mhm.
while that may be plain and simple, sometimes you're saying something that plain and simple needs to be said. And maybe you don't need to make butt heads to say it.
yeah.
But I mean, even a
So,
story like similar to what you just said, like even if they set it up to be like all of them are legacies, their families have been running this town since the dawn of time, it would not make sense, but like it would add to them being high society in this town for as long as they've been in this town. Nobody believe in Billy because these people they're
perfect.
They're
Right.
perfect. They
They're the
made
ones
this
that run the
town.
town. Yeah,
They run the town. Like I just think it's like all the lube aside, like it really like the
So much
writing
further
let this
went.
to me the writing let this down. Like the
right.
I feel like
Yeah.
there's gaps in storytelling that if they just filled those gaps, it would make for a more cohesive story, not so much believable because it's very fantastical and that's okay, but it would make for more of a believable story. Like if you would have built up the relationships between Billy and somebody, because he doesn't have a relationship with nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think I'm all for like filling in gaps in little areas of things.
Yeah,
for sure.
I can watch,
Yeah.
I can watch
wanna be
Scream 20
spoon-fed.
billion times, and I can like, okay, well, they didn't tell me that, but based off of how they fleshed out
Right.
this
Right. This,
relationship,
and
I can
this.
maybe assume that Billy
Yeah.
and Stu maybe are in love with each other. You know,
Right.
the movie
Right.
didn't tell me that, but I can
Or at
maybe
least
look
Stu,
at
or at least Stu loves Billy a lot because that boy, you know,
Yes.
something, right?
Exactly.
Like,
This
Yeah.
film,
Mhm.
for me, didn't give me enough to even build those bridges on.
like
my
I'm gonna build the whole movie based off of this movie. I'm gonna
I
have to
know.
like,
yes,
I'm
Everyone
gonna
could
have
have their
to.
own movie.
yeah, they're
You
all
feel
Could
me?
this
Like,
movie
I'm working
be
too hard.
remade well?
I think it can. I 100%
Yeah,
think
it's
it
called
can.
Parasite.
Hilarious.
It was our
But
that's
there's no gore
perfection.
in that.
A little bit
There's
of the
no
substance.
gore,
See, this
but
is
like it's the same kind
no.
of commentary, just done
Come
in
on.
like
Yeah.
like a
Mhm.
way better, deeper
Yeah.
way.
And for me, you can still make it fantastical. You can still make it that they are these
Yeah.
like
Oh, for
flesh
sure.
eating, people, however it is. But I think if they made it, because here's my thing, you talking about like, and I'm not saying that this doesn't happen, but for me, in the climate that we're in now, it would make more sense if these highfalutin people were doing this to like people of color.
Right.
If they were like, we're better than like, okay, they're better than everybody, but there wasn't a black person in this town.
No,
Makes sense. It's like the 80s or whatever. There
Right.
wasn't a black person in this town. It would make more sense during this, like in this era, 2024 or whatever, that if these high society
Yeah.
people looked for lower class people, they would honestly like be in the
You're
the
describing
ghetto.
Get Out.
Well, they wasn't eating people. They wanted to be people.
No, but you're still
Yeah.
as far as the hierarchy.
but
and
yeah, but like the
you're
hierarchy-
describing Get Out in that sense.
but it's like very similar, but I feel like that could have worked a little bit better because it was like, because even in the aspect like Get Out, they wanted the attributes of like black people, fast
Yeah.
and they looking
Like,
young
consume
all the time,
them, like,
they get
characters in this film are
right.
consuming the
And
lower
we
class.
see that these people, when they do eat these people or whatever, or like suck they marrow or whatever they doing, like the dude got the mole from
beauty mark, yeah.
he got the beauty
Got, like,
mark.
genetic
Right.
from them,
So
yeah.
you pull some of their genetics. So if you could take this film and Get Out and put it together, I think you can make a very interesting, very very socialist or social commentary film that would hit a little bit harder than this one.
About class, yeah.
That's fair.
Mhm.
That's fair.
Mhm.
I will keep this in mind that if it's going to be gory like this, it needs to have some substance rather than just lube. I will keep that in mind for the future.
Appreciate you. Yeah, appreciate you.
If you do like us and discussing this much about lube, we do have a jizz episode. It's from
We
last
do.
year.
Oh,
You can go
yeah,
see
the
the
jizz
last
Yeah, we
episode.
do. It's a pretty good episode, I might add.
I thought it was
a little
great.
sticky, but still a good.
Yeah,
Still a
so
good.
we have a
still
pair of
good
sticky
episode.
episodes now.
Yeah.
It is what
do.
it is. What can I tell you?
Together.
All right. Have a
Let's
day.
rate this. I fear this rating, but let's rate
You
it nonetheless.
should.
Because
Yes.
I'm really curious. I'm now going to try to find my Letterboxd of it because I want to see what I said honestly after I watched it.
Yeah.
Let's go backwards. Brian, what do you rate Society?
Man. I'm gonna say a 4. Yeah, it was. Yep. Next.
Yeah.
Next.
That's
All right.
it. I got nothing.
Janine, what do you rate Society?
Yeah, I agree with Brian. I'm going with 4 out of 10. Like,
Yeah.
it went for it. I appreciate
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
there was just no substance there. Also, just fun fact, I didn't mention that the actor, his father is actually Dick Warlock, who played Jason in the Friday the 13th movie with Corey Feldman. That one.
Oh, so he
Oh.
played in 4,
Crazy.
final
Yes,
chapter.
yes.
Awesome.
Dick,
Okay.
That's
Dick
one of my
Warlock is his
favorites.
father. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a Friday the 13th with actual substance. The first one and
Yes,
that
the
one,
first
and then the rest of them
Yeah.
are just empty. Shut
I've
up.
heard,
The
yeah.
final, it's the final chapter, right? That one.
Your last name like Warlock,
I'm one of
you
those
gotta be an
weird.
actor.
Right?
You got to-
I'm one of
gotta be in
those
show
weird
business.
Jason Goes to Hell people. I actually love that movie because it gets back into the like, let's do something new. And
Right.
there are people like Josh Lebeck, and I'm going to bring it up in 2 weeks when he's on the show
No one is
because
here.
I want to know why people hate it. Because for me, we wouldn't have Freddy versus Jason without it. We wouldn't have the like Ash connection because the Necronomicon's in it. Like, there's a lot of good lore,
yeah.
and it's really gory. Like, it's really
Yeah.
gory.
I've never seen it. One day I'm gonna watch all the Friday the 13th.
I've seen.
So-
I
I
watched
like
them for the first
films.
time like 2 years ago. I went and
Yeah.
finally watched them all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think I'm
Jason
gonna watch them
Lives.
all one day.
Jason Lives is my favorite. Yeah.
That is a good one. Don't get me wrong.
Is Jason X the one when they in space?
Yes, and
Yeah.
that takes place after
Okay.
8 or 9, which is the one I just mentioned. Jason
Okay.
Goes to Hell is 9. But it's a really interesting series because it misleads you like the whole way. You're gonna think, oh, hockey mask. You don't get that till 3. You're
Yeah,
gonna
you
think,
get it
oh,
till
Jason
3.
goes to Manhattan. No, he doesn't. He takes a cruise
he's on
ship
a
for 8
boat
hours
for the whole
and then,
movie.
I've seen,
and then he shows
I've
up in
seen,
Manhattan.
They
I was
couldn't
curious
afford
about
to
that one.
They couldn't afford to
What the
shoot in New
hell?
York, so they
Yeah,
literally
yeah,
like
yeah,
that's
no, that
hilarious.
totally
full
makes
of
sense.
scenes.
Yeah.
Literally on a
Totally makes
boat
sense.
the whole
Because
time.
I've
which
seen
is-
the
Yeah.
first
And
Jason.
it's not a boat. It's a set,
like-
and
it's
you
like
can
a
tell
cruise
it's a
ship,
set.
yeah.
Oh,
It's so
jeez.
bad.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Because I've
Jason
seen the
lives,
first. I've seen the first Jason, and
Yeah.
I've seen like the remake of the first Jason. Essentially,
Oh,
I've seen that
It's
one,
good.
and I've seen Freddy versus Jason,
Okay.
Mhm. Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
no,
And
there
tha-
are
and
some good
that's a-
ones in there.
and
for
that's
sure.
about it on my Jason. Honestly, I need to
Oh,
watch
fun.
Jason, all the one namers. I need to watch Jason, and I need to watch Michael Myers. Like I need to watch
So-
those.
Since we're on spooky season and we're a little short on, but like we finished a little early. I do want to mention something because I just realized this the other day. People always talk about how Michael Myers set the standard for like the kind of stiff-armed, walking
Right.
around
Uh-huh.
kind of
Mhm.
guy. And what's interesting is in the first 2 films, you don't see him
Mhm.
doing that a whole lot. You see him lumbering a little, but it's not his like forte. Because once we
Right.
get to 3, he's not even in that movie. You get to 4,
Right.
and then he starts doing it. But 4 came out in 1988, which is way after Jason
Way
started
after,
doing
yeah.
this. So I think like Jason started the lumbering, and then they're like,
Yeah,
oh, let's give that
that
to
makes sense.
Michael.
Yeah.
And so it's weird how this.
I
all
kind
plays
of
out.
like, I mean, a person who hasn't seen all of them, or I've seen bits and pieces and things like that. I honestly would just gave that to Jason in the beginning because he's like the first one that I can remember, like in my childhood,
Well,
of
no, those movies were
like a stalkery type of like, I don't. Yeah, I would have gave
those
that to
movies
Jason.
were made literally to bank off the success of Halloween. Like the
Right.
makers of that film said, "Make me a Halloween." That's what he told the screenwriter. Like, I want a
yeah.
I
Halloween.
respect that.
It's gonna make a lot of money, and so
Well, it was
that's
only
why
2 years
I
later.
respect that.
Right? Cunningham was
Yeah.
like, "We
Yeah,
gotta
I
do
respect
something."
that
Yeah.
Yeah.
because all movies do that. Like, oh,
Since we
okay,
did Friday the
superheroes.
13th did come up.
Let's do
I
it, buddy.
am wearing my Andrew.
Oh,
X
that's
shirt,
nice.
Yeah, it's
so,
pretty
and
sweet.
I love this shirt. So, more comfortable than people think. And
We
Janine's
should-
name is on the back of this shirt, just so everyone
Oh,
knows.
We should.
100%. I would turn around, but it's a little weird.
We should take that design and put the real study on it. That's all I'm saying.
No. It's gonna stay Andrews. It's gonna stay Andrews. Let's see if I can show Janine's name. I don't think I can. I haven't done this since I was a teenager. Oh, look at that. It's working.
I love it. Look
Look
at
at
you.
Look at that. But yeah, it does say fuck cancer, and I'm gonna agree with
Yeah.
that because fuck cancer.
As
Janine's
yeah, for
name.
sure.
Like,
You know where you're at, Janine. Where
we're
are
not
you?
gonna be able
I
to
know
see
you're in here.
that.
I know, right?
very tiny.
Yeah.
It is. Anyway, her name is on here along with everybody else who donated, and I know the
That's
families
dope.
appreciate it. So
That's a sweet shirt.
we did lose Andrew. Now it's been a while. It's been well over a month. So yeah. Anyway,
I follow his sister Lily. She's awesome and does a ton of cute horror
She
content.
does.
as well.
and if you love horror, Andrew still has videos up that you guys can watch
That's so
that are
good.
worth watching.
Yeah.
Great videos. And he loved Friday, so that's why I had to bring it up.
Yeah.
Thanks.
He loved
Um,
he was so good at that. Like his timing
Yeah.
was always so good. It's like I feel it coming, but you were like, oh, he was still surprised
Yeah,
you.
the
when it was,
long
like,
hold.
oh my
Right?
god, it's so it's just really great.
So
he was so. It's what's crazy is he was an introvert. Like he was so shy. Like he
Yeah.
didn't talk to
Yeah,
anyone. But then on TikTok, he just let his
Lit
freak fly
up,
fly,
yeah.
and I loved
so
it.
good.
He made me more confident. People that were more confident made me more confident. So, okay. So you've given it a 4. You've given it a 4. La, you gave it a
3.5.
Ooh, bringing it down
Right.
even. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I do have to show
Definitely
you
not
guys
watching
the
this
poster.
again. No gracias.
This is one of those alternate posters on Letterboxd. I just
Oh,
love
Oh, okay.
the work on the
That one's
poster.
Actually, I kind of the
That-
poster looked better than the movie. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, right.
That one like
I initially gave this an 8
wow.
Wow.
because I absolutely
Generous.
just laughed and
Generous.
loved and just thought, wow, how
You
ridiculous.
laughed at this?
I did, yeah. I like really bad puns, so the
I gotta
butthead, I
rethink
laughed
our-
at that.
I
Like
gotta
laughed.
rethink our situation here. If you laughed at this,
Not
no.
Kismet. This is like the opposite of Kismet.
This is the
Like,
opposite of
Yeah.
Kismet, man. This
Okay,
is,
okay.
oof, this is hurtful.
but this is we
Hurt.
can disagree. It's okay.
No, for sure we can.
yeah.
I'm gonna still rag
Um,
on you about it though.
Like I said, I don't know. There's something. It's very much like The Lighthouse, even though it's a really gross movie, and there's something really just kind of visceral. I don't know. I like that about movies. Possessor.
I'm gonna need you not to. I'm gonna need you not to put the Lighthouse in this with this film. Like the Lighthouse has substance.
It's still grody. They still fit. If there was a genre of grody, both of these films would hit that genre. Like
I wasn't creeped out at all by this movie. Like there was nothing. Lighthouse like really.
No, Lighthouse got me. This one I was like, make it make sense. Make it make sense.
I don't know. I guess I just don't mind that it didn't make sense. I think at this point I did watch it a second time. I might bring it down to I'll give it a 7 because I would probably watch this again.
Yeah.
So.
I don't blame you, man. You like what you like, and I'm here for it. No judgment, but a little judgment because I do care about you. I'm gonna judge you a little bit.
A little. You're gonna judge me a snidbit if you want.
A snidbit, literally. You know, because I love that we all have different opinions, but man, this movie was terrible.
I'm gonna make you guys watch Naked Lunch at some point too, so get ready. Like it's gonna.
That doesn't even make sense.
That's Cronenberg at least. Like that's Cronenberg. You guys aren't gonna be like, oh, don't show me David Cronenberg.
Only Cronenberg I want is from Rick and Morty. It's only Cronenberg I want.
That Cronenberg. What were you gonna say, Brian?
Oh, I was like, yeah, Cronenberg. Yeah, give me Cronenberg because he knows what he's doing. So
he does. He does.
Batsy let us in on the secret. That's what I didn't do. I probably should have got lifted before I watched
don't know what she's talking about.
Enhancements.
You know what? I'm gonna watch these tomorrow, but I'm gonna be different. Yeah, I'm gonna be a little elevated. You know, let's see what happens.
Real elevated horror. That's what that.
You feel me? Elevated horror, man. It might change my rating. Week, it might be a 5.
We will not have Brian with us. He's going to be out of town, but we will be doing 2 Halloween-themed haunt films. We're going to be doing Haunt and then Night of the Demons. It's a night.
Another night.
Yeah, another night of. But I think that's
the night after the Night of the Creeps.
Yes.
Right. But is that a little schlocky? That's a cheaper.
A little bit.
Yeah.
So. But it has a bit of a cult following. I learned.
I haven't seen neither.
One of the films I discovered last year when I was doing themed movies for each month.
Yeah. Nice.
So
and then we will be doing Guillermo del Toro and name the cinematographer.
His name is escaping me right now.
Oh, it's okay. Guillermo worked with the same cinematographer on multiple films, and so
I love Guillermo del Toro.
Peak and Mimic, starring Mira Sorvino. Which for whatever reason my brain mixed with Relic because they came out the same year,
right?
And I was like, Mimic, Relic, they sound the same. And that's just Penelope Ann Miller. I'm just like, no, that's not the thing. That's
it's like 3 Mimics.
Dan Lauston is the DP on both of these.
So Mimic, they came out in 97.
Yeah, they both came out in 97. Mimic should have been January, and then Relic was August. So
no, I'm saying Crimson Peak. What year did that come out?
Crimson Peak was 2018.
2015. It's a 2015. Got you. Okay, cool.
That's kind of why I chose them too, because like same director and DP, for both films, but they're like so far apart from each other.
Right.
Be interested to see like.
And Mimic was his first film. Am I right? His first feature length, or what did he do one before that?
For Guillermo?
Yeah.
Oh no, because he did
Kronos. Is that?
Yeah, he did Kronos before that. I believe.
Oh, that's right.
Higher film.
That's why.
Okay, I definitely got to watch Crimson Peak because
it's
so we will be
because
that'll be for the 27th.
Doug Jones is in there. Burn Gorman. I love Burn Gorman. He's so good. So
yeah, it's creepy. It's a little juicy. That movie's a little.
He was actually in the film. Burn Gorman was actually in the film we just watched. I just can't remember the name of it. Oh, I just watched Beetlejuice.
Oh, okay. I was like, I don't remember. So yeah, that'll be the week of the 27th, and then we will be having Josh Levesque as a guest, and then we will be having Haunting Season in November. I'm not sure what he'll pick, but we're going to have him pick a couple horror flicks because that's what he does. And then we are talking about, it's been kicked around, I've heard a couple of yeses, about doing a Kevin Smith month where we do like the bulk of his movies, but really specific kind of pairings as the month goes on. And we would of course have Mickey, our voice, the voice of The Real Study, who you guys have heard 1,000 times. And I think we can get Will Wilkins to come review a Kevin Smith movie, which would be interesting to hear Kevin Smith's friend review his film. I think that'd be very interesting. So so those are some ideas for the future of The Real Study. But that said, I think we are good for the evening, and we will see you guys next time.
Peace out. Don't forget to follow us everywhere.
Enjoy, guys. Right? Do it. Do it.
Just don't
Butthead.
Just don't watch Society. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Just don't do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All of us just don't. Yeah.
Yeah.